I won't go to the full details of how my randomizer works. The basis is that these collision blocks, as I play, they move forward, and when they move, they touch other collision blocks, which activate and deactivate certain groups. And the good thing with this one is that it doesn't only detect how many clicks you do, because otherwise you could kind of like count how many clicks you do through the part, but it also detects how long you click. And while these go slow now in the actual level, if I change these to the default, then they travel this fast. So even if I click really quickly, I cannot control which seed will be played. And as you can see right here, I randomly put some stop and deactivation triggers. So when you play this part, sometimes some of these do not get scrambled and some do, just to have a certain offset, so you don't get like A or B or C every time. And the offset is also in these, so they move at different speeds, as you can see right here. What these in turn activate and deactivate are these triggers right here. If I play and I click, you can see these scramble around. Well, if I would play and pause, for instance, this is the first variable, so DBB seed spawns this group, and this group. Right before the drop, when you fall up with the robot, this 999 trigger gets activated, and this stops this scrambling cycle from happening and activates the triggers that are activated right here. So if I put a start position, I play and I click some, now the BDA seed was triggered, and as you can see, there are 3 different variables with 6 variations each, and these dedicate how the level will play out. And that also means that there are 6 to the power of 3 or 216 level combinations, with the seed also being revealed here in the end of the level when you play. Each part works slightly differently from each other, but still kind of the same, because we're kind of limited to what we can do, and for the most part it's just like slight variations and sometimes major variations. For example, this ship part has 6 different layouts for each variation and between each portal. I can talk for a long time about what parts and what aspects of each part is random, but you can just go and play for yourself and see what happens each playthrough, or watch different replays of it. But the main thing and my main focus was to make it playable, enjoyable, and somewhat readable, as it can be a very, very obnoxious experience to play an all randomized level. So, for instance, this first part, one thing that is randomized is the direction, these platform columns. So one thing I noticed when playing it was that when playing this part, in some combinations of these moving, it was really hard to predict if you should jump or if you should fall down at the next platform. So right here I have disabled one of the adjustments I have done for the 5th group. So now it looks like this. And right here you would probably think you should drop down to this one. But if I play, you can see the robot would have died and you would have crashed, and it would have been annoying because it looked like you could drop down, but you didn't. So what I have done is I played all these different moving platform variations and made sure that each of them has some kind of readability. So if I now show with the adjustment, let's make it like that. Well, you should drop down there. I'm just bad at this game. Now it was much better and much more readable. In edit mode, it's hard to see, but it was a very clear difference when actually playing it. A lot of subtle design decisions and adjustments that I have done to make it, as I said, more enjoyable. For instance, some of these transitions are very long, so you can see what's happening. The portals are always visible in some way, especially these that affect the gameplay. Sometimes you have arrows pointing, like here you have some arrows, and this spider part I noticed was like so much harder without the arrows, but they help a lot and makes this not a pain in the ass to have at like 70% through the level. Of course, there's a ton more to it. This was just a little short demonstration of how I made this, how the randomizer works, and also how this level is, I hope, fairly bearable and playable, even though I myself didn't have the best time, but that's mostly just me being bad at the game. There's already people like who have beaten this in less than 100 attempts. For me it took like 3,000, but hey, my hardest level is this 9 circles, please don't bully me.